Our second speaker is Thomas Cross. Thomas Cross is a focused and dedicated young man. In the past 4 years, he's been involved in the Film Appreciation and Analysis Club, which he founded, the drama program, Mr. Davis, and Young Life. Additionally, he has taken full IB classes and risen to the top 1% of his class. You may have heard his voice in the morning. Announcements. If that's the case, you already know that he knows how to have a good time. Accordingly, I'm sure his speech will have some humor in it, so feel free to laugh. Welcome, Thomas Cross.
Wonderful. Gonna put this back here. Just keep it out of my face. Good evening. You're probably all wondering why I've gathered you here tonight. I don't want to keep you in the dark. So tonight, we're here to talk about wizards. Yes, wizards. But not yet. First, I want to talk about high school. You all remember freshman year, right? Do you remember why you came to Davis? In the last months of my 8th grade year, I was faced with the decision of Ike or Davis. Now, this was a big decision because each of my older sisters had gone to Eisenhower. But Davis had the IB program, and my parents wanted me to get the best education I could in Yakima. Yeah. I was okay with the idea of going to Davis because I liked the idea of venturing into the unknown. But more importantly, there were a few very pretty girls in the class ahead of us. Yes, 4', 11" freshman year me decided to go to Davis because of women. Hindsight, it probably wasn't the best reasoning, but I do think I made the right choice. Then, the leaves changed colors and freshman year was upon us. Early in the year, we had our first Spirit Day. Over the morning announcements, I heard, "This Friday, remember to dress up like a pirate for Spirit Day." I thought this was the perfect opportunity to impress those older girls I was talking about. So, I went home that Thursday night, and I got my outfit together. When I went in the next day, I had a horrifying revelation. At Davis, when they say pirate, they don't mean the modern-day kind of pirate. They think of the more traditional eye patch, peg leg, parrot, treasure map, Johnny Depp kind of pirate. I had dressed up like a contemporary Captain Phillips type Somalian pirate. I think you get the picture. I was wearing more raggedy clothes and sporting more modern weaponry. Needless to say, after 5 minutes of being on campus that morning, I was told that I was not dressed appropriately for school and I was sent home. I still had a lot to learn about impressing girls. Then, in the blink of an eye, it was sophomore year. Yeah, you all remember sophomore year. Basketball season. It's a pretty exciting time. Give it up. For those of you who don't know, our basketball team was really great that year, and in the postseason, something happened that we will be talking about for years to come. We won districts. Give it up for districts. And I think something else happened later on in the state tournament, but I was sick, so I didn't get to go. Sports aside, sophomore year was a really fun time. I remember sitting in Mr. Calkin's classroom next to Zach Dixon, staring up at the wall where some of the most cliche quotes you can think of were painted. These were intended to be inspirational. One read, "All roads lead to Rome." I'm not sure if I will ever understand the hidden, uplifting meaning behind that. Another one read, "When one door closes, another one opens." And Zach and I are sitting there like, not necessarily. So we thought of other motivational things we could say and different ways to finish the phrase. We thought of things like, "When one door closes, are you sure it's locked? You should check the handle." And "When one door closes, quick, they're not looking. Steal anything that's not bolted down." I think that's a good representation of the attitudes of sophomores and how the rest of that year went. Then junior year rolled around. Some of us chose to take a few IB classes. the more foolish among us enrolled in full IB classes, and we all watched as our social lives and regular sleep patterns drifted into the recesses of our minds where they would remain distant memories. That was our last year with the old Davis. We watched E-Building being built and understood it to be a mirror for how we ourselves were growing up. Some of us had our first interactions with Ken Cap, and let me tell you, our lives were never the same. If you ever want to increase your IQ, buy him lunch. I promise you will walk away with something you didn't have before. I remember gaining an appreciation for all of our staff that year. As we watched men and women like Terry Cooper, Doc Baranowski, or Zach Rao face the challenges that construction would bring, we were all encouraged. Then we left for the summer, and we came back to find that the Davis we knew was almost completely gone. As gravel filled the tread of our shoes, we came to grips with never setting foot in C-Building again. It was out with the old and in with the new, as they say. I think the construction around Davis has been a really powerful illustration for where we're at in our lives. As seniors, and in a few minutes as graduates, we are always improving. We might think we're pretty smart or athletic or creative, and we probably are, but we can always be better. We can always undergo renovations, and we're definitely not as smart as our parents. The parents thing doesn't really keep with the metaphor, but I hope you remember it because it's important. Now, the reason why I'm up here. Wizards. When I was at my sister's graduation last spring, the speaker made a point that these robes we're wearing look like wizard robes, with our wizard hats and our wizard sleeves. And I got to thinking about it. Teachers are a lot like wizards. Their mathematics can enchant us. Their understanding of chemistry and other easier sciences can wow us. And sometimes their analysis of literature just doesn't make any sense at all. So I began thinking about some of the most famous wizards. I thought of Gandalf and Dumbledore and their respective protégés of Frodo and Harry Potter, and I realized a common theme that shows up. These wizards will train the heroes, and they'll teach them everything they need to know in order to succeed. And then, when the going gets tough, they check out. If this sounds familiar, it should. It's what's happening right now. You're going out into the world this year. No one's going to hold your hand. Luckily, our teachers will only be an email away, but ultimately, everyone is telling us that we're old enough to make our own decisions. This quote comes from Alexandre Dumas' The Count of Monte Cristo. Life is a storm. You will bask in the sunlight one moment, be shattered on the rocks the next. What makes you a man is what you do when that storm comes. You must look into that storm and shout, "Do your worst, for I will do mine." Class of 2014, go and shout into the storm of life. Go make something of yourself. Be someone you're proud of. Because in 2024, we'll all be back in Yakima, back where we all began for our reunion. And I hope that you have some good news and some good stories to share with us. In the coming years, each of you will be in my personal thoughts and prayers. Whatever you do, be extraordinary. Be remarkable. Follow your heart's convictions and remember where you came from. Good luck and Godspeed.